On that chilly December morning in 1981, Louis Boren set out with excitement and adventure in his heart. But what began as a promising day of kneeboarding on the open water quickly descended into horror. By the end of it, only haunting traces of his final moments remained. The question lingers: what truly happened to Louis that day? Was it a tragic encounter with nature's apex predator, or was something more lurking beneath the surface? The violent and instant attack. Louis Boren was headed to South Moss Beach, California, to catch spectacular waves with a close friend. Neither could have imagined that this thrilling surf session would tragically be their last. The calm, gray waters of the Pacific stretched out to meet the sky, merging effortlessly beneath a canopy of thick clouds. The shore, clad in oceanic glory, stood at attention. Kelp beds, smeared with the paint of tide pool animals, hung as though the tide had somehow stilled. Despite this half-frozen moment of serenity, the ocean was alive with something ominous. A disturbance, perhaps, way past the sight line of all but the most nautical of eyes. An unseen force of nature that would soon play itself out in tragic fashion. Louis was in his comfort zone, a seasoned surfer with an unstoppable devotion to the ocean. The murky skies had brought forth what surfers fantasize about: close to 15 feet, fearsome, and fantastic waves. He had gotten to the lot early that morning and had the chance to share some good, pre-surf vibes with his buddy before they made their way to the beach. They set about getting ready for what was, indeed, with those kinds of waves, one of the more memorable surf sessions they had racked up in some time. The two friends spent the day reveling in the excitement of the surf, paddling in the freezing water and catching wave after wave. Louis, who stands a good 6'2" and has an almost reckless athleticism, went after the waves with vigor and optimism, making you think he's the kind of guy who might pursue the perfect wave to his death. But as they were out there, the wind and the waves began to pick up most unusually. The wind blew with a kind of vicious intent, and the waves grew larger and more disorganized. Everything went haywire. The beach had settled into an uneasy stillness by early afternoon, its emptiness intensifying the savagery of the storm-tossed waters. It looked like a scene from a suspenseful thriller, haunting, dangerous, and unnervingly quiet. Yet none of this seemed to faze Louis. Despite the ominous signs, he made the fateful decision to venture out once more. At approximately 2 p.m., he was last seen walking alone toward the raging waves, his figure growing smaller against the vast, unruly ocean. What drove him to take this risk remains an enduring mystery. Was it a surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins, urging him to embrace one last challenge? Or was it something more profound, an inexplicable pull from the ocean calling him back? Whatever the reason, Louis appeared undeterred by the danger, interpreting the towering 6-foot-high swells not as a warning, but as a test of his courage and skill. This relentless determination, this fearless love for the ocean, would ultimately seal his fate, leaving behind a story as enigmatic and powerful as the waves he so dearly loved. Louis thrived on the water. The sea was his sanctuary, where he felt alive, even when the conditions were less than ideal. That morning, the water was choppy, visibility poor, and the air thick with the sharp tang of salt and seaweed. Yet none of this deterred him. With practiced ease, his board sliced through the turbulent waves, and the storm swelled beneath him, both thrilling and powerful. For a moment, Louis paused, letting his body rest as he took in the raw beauty of the ocean. The isolation was intoxicating, the solitude that reminded him why he loved surfing. But this isolation also left him alone, a lone figure in a vast, wild expanse, with whatever might be hiding under the surface. He didn't know it, but he was no longer alone. In the kelp beds nearby, one of the ocean's most lethal hunters was moving through the shallow waters. A giant great white shark, thought to be 17 to 19 feet in length, swam with silent accuracy, its smooth body slicing through the water like a missile. It was a beast of immense strength, shaped by millions of years of evolution, and now it had its sights set on Louis. The shark's cold black eyes tracked him lazily floating on his board. It circled with deliberate, measured movements, casting a long, ominous shadow on the ocean floor below. To Louis, the moment was tranquil, almost serene. The swell of the waves, the rhythmic sound of water against his board, and the endless horizon gave him a sense of peace. But beneath the surface, the predator waited, assessing its prey with silent, lethal intent. Lewis might have sensed something was off if the conditions had been more precise and the sea had been calmer. A shadow in his periphery or a sudden shift in the water might have been enough to raise his alarm. But the stormy sea masked everything, shrouding the great white's approach in secrecy. The predator used its sharp predator instincts while waiting for just the right instant to launch its attack. The shark moved quickly through unfathomable velocity, opening its massive jaws wide. The predator's aggressive bite opened wide to engulf Lewis's yellow kneeboard, causing fabric and tissue to split instantly. The immense impact of the shark attack felt like a crushing force against Lewis's chest and back. At the same time, the sudden violence of the strike ejected him into the freezing Pacific waters. He grew disoriented while attempting to figure out what just occurred. Amidst the ocean waves' disorder, he saw his board littered like floating debris because of its severe break. Heat erupted in his blood as he tried to steady himself, but the gruesome reality pounded into his awareness. His whole body felt a sudden, intense pain when he saw blood in the water, and then he realized the full extent of his painful injuries. A massive chunk of flesh from under his left armpit down to his hip was missing. His ribs and exposed tissue were visible beneath the surface, but in his shock, the pain was muted, replaced by the cold numbness of the ocean. His body weakened, and he could no longer fight the powerful currents. The great white's attack was swift, calculated, and deadly. From below and to the left, it had surged upward with all the force of a torpedo, its jaws tearing through board and body alike. Lewis's worst nightmare had materialized. A submarine with teeth, as some would later call the shark, had claimed him. He slipped beneath the waves, becoming part of the ocean he loved deeply, his final moments as raw and untamed as the waters he had always called home. With horrifying precision, the impact was catastrophic. The crescent-shaped bite tore through Lewis Boren's body, nearly severing him in two. His instincts told him to fight, to struggle against the force pulling him down. But the encounter was over almost as quickly as it began. The nearly 19-foot-long great white shark, a predator of incredible size and power, released him shortly after the attack. Lewis was no longer interested in the massive animal, which swam away with the same silent grace it had arrived. For Lewis, the struggle ended as his world blurred into darkness. The icy embrace of the Pacific Ocean consumed him, and he surrendered to its depths. Great white shark attacks are far rarer than popular culture suggests, and humans are not their preferred prey. These apex predators are often driven by curiosity rather than predatory intent. They occasionally deliver what experts call taste tests to unfamiliar objects that pique their interest. Despite their portrayal in films like Jaws, which depict mindless hunters prowling coastal waters for human victims, most great white encounters result in survivors. Many people walk away with only puncture wounds or minor injuries. Tragically, fatal encounters do happen, and when they do, they leave a lasting mark on those left behind. In the case of Lewis Boren, the aftermath of his encounter sent shockwaves through the community. The day after he was last seen, two surfers at Alar State Beach were scouring the coastline for the perfect spot to paddle when something caught their attention. It was the vibrant yellow of a kneeboard, half a kneeboard to be precise. An 18-inch chunk of it was missing, the edges jagged and unmistakably marked by the crescent-shaped bite of something massive. Nearby, they found the missing piece, further solidifying their grim suspicion. A great white shark had struck, and its victim may not have survived. They immediately alerted the authorities. 5 days after the attack, on the morning of December 24th, a park ranger made a chilling discovery near Pacific Grove, roughly half a mile from the attack site. At around 11 a.m., Lewis's body was spotted, partially submerged in waist-deep water. The remains bore the unmistakable evidence of the shark's bite, a deep, gaping wound that told the story of his final moments. Despite the gruesome injury, his body was otherwise intact, confirming that the shark had not returned for a second or third attack. This detail, while grim, underscores the truth about great white sharks. They are not mindless killers but misunderstood predators, often retreating after a single strike. For Lewis Boren, however, that single strike was enough to end his life, leaving behind a tragic tale that would be etched into the annals of surfing lore and a stark reminder of the untamed power of the ocean's most formidable hunter. The violent and instant attack stemmed solely from unwanted curiosity, which led Boren to lose his life while suffering an incredibly desolate death. His left side revealed pronounced traumatic damage that ran from his armpit to his hip. The injuries revealed signature marks of a great white shark's forceful bite, which scientists used to determine definitively the predator behind the strike. The sudden death of Lewis Boren produced national shockwaves that launched massive media attention across every facet of the country. Major newspapers, together with television stations, gathered rapidly to document the slaying, which elevated both public terror and fascination about the dangerous secret predator. A Rolling Stone newspaper feature focused on the tragedy with a scary artwork illustration. An artwork showed a massive great white shark silently moving through dark kelp blooms with blood dripping from its gills. The chilling image, burned into the public's memory, became a grim symbol of the encounter and a stark reminder of the ocean's hidden dangers. Despite the media coverage and the scientific analysis, the story of Lewis's death is also a deeply personal and heartbreaking tale. It's impossible not to reflect on the cold isolation he endured in his final moments. The ocean, where he loved and found solace, betrayed him most terrifyingly. Its vast, mysterious depths concealed beauty, wonder, and powerful predators that strike without warning. The tragedy serves as a somber reminder of the ocean's dual nature, its allure and danger. For Lewis Boren, the sea was his greatest passion and the force that claimed his life, leaving behind a story that continues to evoke awe, fear, and a profound respect for the untamed wilderness beneath the waves. The aftermath. The Coast Guard can't search for his body because of budget cuts, but the battered pieces of his blood-stained surfboard did wash ashore. Marine researchers found teeth marks 18 inches wide on the surfboard. Shark experts said the size of the teeth marks indicated a great white shark 19 feet 7 inches long, more than twice the size of Boren's surfboard. If true, that would surpass the past California record of 18 feet. Friends said the curly-haired 6'2" Boren was known locally as an expert surfer. He wore a seagull tattoo. "The surfers are all just standing on the beach looking out to sea," said Beryl Thomas, a friend of Boren's. "This is the time to surf, and nobody feels like it." Ms. Thomas said Boren, who worked at para-engineering combers in Pacific Grove, disappeared while surfing in 15-foot waves just north of Pebble Beach in an area known as Spanish Bay. Daniel Miller, a senior marine biologist with the State Department of Fish and Game in Monterey, said shark sightings are not uncommon, but this is the first attack since 1966. The last fatal attack in Monterey was almost 30 years ago. There have previously only been 4 fatal shark attacks off the state's 600 miles of coastline. About half of all the attacks on humans in California are believed initiated by great whites, Miller said. Miller said sharks leave tooth fragments when they attack, and that experts can tell which species it is by lab analyses. Although there are still various theories on why sharks attack, Miller said research by his agency has tentatively concluded they are hunting for food. In a recent report, marine biologists said lacerations and wounds found on sea mammals, such as otters and elephant seals, come from sharks enjoying the current proliferation of prey along the California coast. The lasting repercussions of Lewis Boren's encounter. The body in waist-deep water on a well-traveled part of the beach was noticed at about the same time by a state park ranger and a private citizen. It had suffered great trauma to the left side, from the armpit down to approximately the hip, Lieutenant Luchuk said. Mr. Leah examined the body and pronounced the injury very consistent with that of a shark attack. The conclusion that a giant white shark chewed the surfboard was based on the pattern of a chunk torn from it and the configuration of teeth marks at 2 points where the shark had struck the board. Study of unprovoked attacks. "There is no question that a white shark attacked the surfboard," said Mr. Leah minutes before being summoned to examine the body. "We cannot say for sure whether it attacked the surfer." On the East Coast, off Florida, there have been at least 11 shark attacks this year, 2 of them fatal. The white shark, Carcharodon carcharias, is among the largest sharks and is also referred to as the great white shark and the man-eater shark. "This is a bad actor," said Mr. Leah, who described it as primitive. "It is a magnificent swimming machine and very efficient at what it does." In October, based on evidence of stepped-up attacks on sea otters, one of the sea mammals the white shark is known to attack. the Fish and Game Department issued a shark watch in the Monterey Bay area. Mr. Leah noted a sharp decline in surfing and diving this morning, even before the body was found. But a few did go into the water. He said that although attacks on humans are unfamiliar, surfers might attract a prowling white. If you look at the record of the 49 attacks that Dan Miller documented, Mr. Leah said, surfers have been involved in several, divers have been involved, swimmers and waders have also been involved. He said biologists had little data on what might provoke a shark attack. Great white sharks, celebrated for their immense size and raw power, inspire awe and fear. Often portrayed as deadly predators in films and documentaries, they spark a pressing question. Are these creatures dangerous to humans? Great white sharks represent one of the ocean's most substantial predatory fish because they achieve lengths up to 20 feet and possess exceptional hunting attributes. They use their razor-sharp teeth, advanced senses of smell and vision, and remarkable eyesight to detect prey from long distances. Seals, sea lions, and smaller fish make up most of the great white shark prey because their meals stabilize aquatic food chains. Why do people fear great white sharks when risk statistics show they pose minimal threats to human life? The common fear about these animals stems mainly from excessive media coverage. Great whiteys receive their ominous reputation, yet their actual behavior proves complex when appropriately examined. Great white sharks and all shark species cause attacks at such tiny rates that they can be considered incredibly infrequent events. According to the International Shark Attack File, maximum shark encounter risk tallies to about 1 in 3.7 million statistical odds. Great white sharks typically encounter human beings by confusing them with seals due to reduced visibility or unclear underwater conditions. These encounters are usually exploratory rather than aggressive, as the shark often swims away after a test bite. None of these incidents produce serious injuries, although they do occur repeatedly. The significant white shark population plays a fundamental role in preserving ocean health, while its reputation as a predatory menace could not be further from reality. Great white sharks optimize the marine ecosystem by holding an apex position for predation, enabling increased biological diversity. Prey species control by great white sharks demonstrates fundamental importance for maintaining the stability of marine ecosystems. Great white sharks function as gauges, indicating the health status of our oceans. Scientific data on ocean ecosystem health derives from population drops of these fish species, since they show how food chains react within the environment. Protecting the great white shark population is an important effort that protects their survival and maintains the complex integration of marine ecosystems worldwide. We must confront outdated thinking about great white sharks to protect their future. The prevailing public interest in shark attacks exists solely as media hype, because human-caused destruction of sharks through fishing habitat loss and toxic contamination remains far more harmful. Our preservation of conservation programs and our knowledge about great white sharks' ecological importance will ensure future generations experience these magnificent marine animals living in their natural habitat. So are great white sharks truly dangerous? The answer isn't a straightforward yes or no. At the same time, undeniably powerful predators, their threat to humans has been widely exaggerated. This begs the question, why do sharks attack? Why sharks attack? Despite misleading media reports suggesting that shark attacks are on the rise, such assaults on humans are exceedingly rare, and even more rarely, are fatal. While the number of recorded shark attacks has risen in recent years, the rate per capita has not. Our species is simply undergoing a massive population explosion, so more people are spending time in the water, especially as aquatic recreation opportunities expand, and thus more of us are being exposed to the risk of an elasmobranch encounter. We are also developing far more effective methods of documenting and cataloging these encounters, which may have been underreported in the past. And, maybe most importantly, we are gaining a greater understanding of why run-ins with sharks, as infrequent as they are, occur in the first place. The oversimplified prevailing wisdom, until recently, attributed shark attacks on humans to misdirected feeding attempts. We thought that sharks took a bite or two out of humans because they looked like food and, in most cases, decided that they weren't, to the sometimes fatal detriment of the bather in question. That is not entirely inaccurate. However, after intensive study of shark behavior, a constellation of other factors accounting for shark attacks has emerged. The image of surfers, arms dangling off their boards, being perceived as seals from below by sharks, has largely been discarded. Sharks have a compelling vision and are unlikely to mistake a surfer for a seal. However, in turbid waters, the erratic motion of humans and the contrast between their skin and attire can confuse sharks. It is thought that, especially in shallower waters near shore, where smaller species such as blacktip and spinner sharks may go to feed on schools of smaller fish, many shark encounters occur out of simple confusion. The shark, hardwired to snap at anything looking remotely like a thrashing fish, such as a foot with a tan top and paler bottom, may accidentally bite a human in the churned-up surf of a crowded beach. These encounters usually consist of a single bite, after which the shark flees. Why are surfers and other swimmers in deeper water attacked if sharks do not perceive them as food? In the case of great white sharks, which along with bull and tiger sharks are the largest and most dangerous species known to attack humans, there is compelling evidence from survivors of attacks suggesting that the sharks may simply have been investigating what they considered to be foreign objects in the water. Indeed, most attacks do not resemble the spectacular hunting techniques employed when white sharks are in the mood for sealing. When pinniped is on the menu, the white shark will approach from below at great speed, often breaching the surface and knocking the animal into the air before moving in to feed. In contrast, most encounters with humans are far less explosive. One surfer did not notice a shark until it was nibbling on his surfboard. That's right, nibbling, not devouring. Even fatal attacks often result in the sharks leaving after a bite or two, uninterested in consuming the unfortunate swimmer. Considering the force these creatures can attack, another explanation has been suggested. The sharks are simply curious, and because they are the dominant predators in most ocean ecosystems, they aren't afraid. Their mouths also function as finely tuned sensory organs, leading sharks to mouth unfamiliar objects to examine them and determine their possible food value. Their gums and slightly mobile teeth are so sensitive that it has been proposed that they can gauge the probable fat content of a potential prey item. Humans fall far short of the blubbery BMIs of seals and sea lions. So at worst, such encounters likely result from sharks actively assessing whether it's worth eating a human, not trying to eat one. The distinction is important. Sharks aren't making mistakes during such attacks. They're exhibiting purposeful, goal-driven behavior that may or may not have damaging consequences for the human subject of curiosity. Another factor that may be in play is shark territoriality. Though they do not necessarily have territories in the sense that terrestrial predators do, there is a discernible dominance hierarchy among sharks. The system is simple. The largest sharks get the best hunting spots. Incursions by smaller sharks are frowned upon, and intruders are evicted, violently if necessary. Some shark encounters may result from the shark's instinct to defend its food source against all comers. Whatever the ultimate cause of shark attacks, we are a far greater threat to them than they are to us. We have decimated their populations, with some 100 million taken each year, both on purpose and as bycatch. Do you think shark attacks are a result of misunderstandings between humans and sharks, given that we pose a far greater threat to them than they do to us? Conservation efforts. Shark populations require conservation efforts to preserve marine system stability and decrease the odds of shark attacks against humans. The death of Boren by a shark attack reveals that humans share a deep biological connection with these predators. When we commit to protecting sharks alongside their ecosystems, we create healthier marine environments that decrease the potential for shark interactions with humans. The research examines how shark preservation delivers safeguarding effects for ocean ecosystems and protects human well-being. Marine ecosystems function optimally because sharks serve as their top predators. Sharks function as managers of aquatic organisms by balancing ecological networks with essential consequences for ocean biodiversity retention. When shark numbers remain strong in marine ecosystems, we know the ocean is healthy because sharks prevent unchecked population growth, which safeguards coral reefs, seagrass beds, and other vital marine habitats. Shark populations face drastic reduction because of human-caused overfishing, habitat destruction, and other practices that cause extensive harm to marine ecosystems. Prey populations become excessive when shark populations decline because inadequate shark predation creates habitat deterioration, resulting in biodiversity loss. Aggravating food chain disorders diminishes the health of marine areas, which become more fragile because of this disruption. Protecting sharks represents our ultimate need to improve marine environments, which face an ecological imbalance. Implementing marine protected areas, enhanced fishing rule enforcement, shark finning prohibition, and sustainable seafood advocacy are essential to preserve marine life. Public campaigns that aim to educate people about sharks hold critical importance for changing the perception of sharks as public support for conservation and elimination of common fears intensifies. Moreover, shark conservation directly contributes to reducing shark attacks on humans. A balanced ecosystem with well-fed and unstressed sharks minimizes the likelihood of them venturing near shorelines or engaging in human activities in search of food. Protected areas also allow sharks to follow their natural migratory patterns, keeping them within their habitats and away from areas frequented by humans. By ensuring the survival and well-being of sharks, we not only protect these majestic creatures, but create safer oceans for everyone. Regional success stories in shark conservation showcase how protection strategies benefit sharks and humans simultaneously. The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park in Australia achieved a major comeback for the shark population through its strict fishing regulations and protected areas system. The improved shark populations support healthier coral ecosystems, leading to robust marine biodiversity. Establishing conservation protocols generated ecotourism that brought economic gains to coastal settlements while stirring stronger marine biodiversity appreciation. Shark conservation involves protecting oceanic balance alongside sustainability for all ocean life, including human beings. Our active support of conservation programs and protective measures for sharks and their ecosystems will eliminate the risk of shark encounters and create better coexistence between species and marine habitats. The protection of sharks directly mirrors the well-being of the human race. Healthy shark species populations create thriving marine ecosystems that support every species, including human communities. Future generations will benefit from safer, thriving oceans through our actions that protect these remarkable creatures. Long-term impact of Lewis Boren's attack. The long-term impact of Lewis Boren's attack has left a lasting mark on how we view shark encounters and safety. Recent shark attack headlines naturally make people concerned about swimming in the ocean. However, there's good news. Statistics show both an increase in the total shark attacks and a substantial decrease in their risk rate, notably in California's cold oceanic areas. A study published in Frontiers in Ecology and the Environment finds that ocean recreation in California has reached historic safe levels never achieved before during the past 6 decades. Scientists at Stanford University studied great white shark attack victims from 1950 through to 2013 off the California coast. While the average number of annual attacks has increased, the individual risk of being bitten has dropped by over 91%. How is this possible? The answer lies in population growth. The increasing number of visitors to California coastlines makes shark encounters more likely to occur. The California population expanded threefold between the 1950s and 2013, while ocean-based activities increased substantially, with surfing rising 125 times and scuba diving growing by 204 times. In an interview, George H. Burgess of the International Shark Attack File at the Florida Museum of Natural History highlighted a worldwide rise in shark encounters. Human population growth is coupled with a surge in ocean accessibility, leading to an overall increase in shark-human interactions. However, the rate of attacks per individual drops. Our odds as individuals go down because there are so many more of us in the water, Burgess explains. Lewis Boren's attack underscores the importance of understanding these dynamics. Human activity within ocean spaces increases shark encounters. However, personal safety risks stay minimal in general terms. At the same time, we transform our behavior toward these top predators of the ocean. Studies sparked by Lewis Boren's attack have deepened scientists' understanding of shark activities while advancing methods to decrease possible danger zones. Researchers analyzing decades of shark attack data in California assessed the risk associated with 4 primary activities: marine activities such as surfing, abalone diving, scuba diving, and recreational swimming, which generate the most shark encounters. Surfers face the largest number of attacks, but abalone divers experience more encounters than scuba divers, who experience more encounters than swimmers. The analysis of high-risk activities revealed that abalone diving becomes the most dangerous activity according to participation adjustments, with attack odds of 1 in 1.44 million. Comparatively, surfers face a 1 in 17 million chance, scuba divers a 1 in 136 million, and swimmers, the safest group, see only 1 attack per 738 beach visits. Remarkably, all activities showed declining risks over the study period, except for surfing. This decline in risk is likely tied to changes in great white shark movements, influenced by shifts in prey abundance. Northern elephant seals, a favorite food of great whites, were nearly extinct in California by the late 19th century due to overhunting. As their populations rebounded and expanded northward from Mexico, the seals established colonies further offshore. This recovery has redirected sharks' hunting patterns, with more incidents occurring closer to elephant seal rookeries and further from human-populated waters.
I'm going to the box.
Geography and timing are key for those looking to reduce their risk of a shark encounter. In California, surfing between San Diego and Los Angeles in March is 1,566 times safer than surfing in Mendocino in November. Similarly, Mendocino surfers are far safer in March, with a 24-fold reduction in risk. Beyond California, general safety tips include staying in groups, avoiding swimming too far from shore, and steering clear of the water when sharks are most active at dusk and dawn. Ultimately, Lewis Boren's attack underscores the importance of understanding these patterns and making informed decisions to coexist safely with these apex predators in their natural habitat. The unanswered questions and chilling details surrounding his death still leave us wondering what truly happened. Was it a tragic encounter with nature, or did something more sinister occur that day? What do you think? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories.